Greetings and God bless. I wanted to talk about how there's this pressure to display conspicuous consumption. There's this pressure, everybody has to look rich. I really have been noticing that the past maybe 4 or 5 years. In the past, it was kind of cool to look kind of edgy. There was this punk rock look or there was this hippie look. And yes, there was always the preppy, yuppie kind of look, kind of seeming more conservative. But I am noticing there does seem to be this classism and this snobbery. Like when I was growing up in New York City, there were snobs. There were kids who were rich kids, or there was just kids with attitude. I mean, I met snobs who were growing up in the projects, and there's also just people with who are just mean people. And I want to encourage folks, stop trying to spend all your money. Stop trying to be so rich. Dial things back and enjoy your life, and begin to enjoy your life. Now, there's this interesting poem or story that Tim Ferriss talks about in his book, The 4 Hour Work Week, where this millionaire tells this guy who's working in Latin America, who's like a fisherman, and the guy just he fishes, hauls like 10 fish a day and sells them at the market, goes home, plays some music, on the guitar, and has a bottle of wine with his wife, and then just has the day over again. And so this businessman from New York City comes and says, "Hey, you should, expand your fishing and get 2 boats and then get 10 boats, and you'll make this much money. And then you'll be able to buy a house and a new car and all these things." And so the fisherman's like, "Oh, so what will I get when I have that car and the mansion and all this business?" The guy's like, "Oh, well, then you can go and retire somewhere with a nice little house where you can do a little bit of fishing and play your guitar and drink a bottle of wine with your wife and have a nice life." Basically, that's this weird psychotic thing that we're being sold, that so go kill yourself, go kill your soul, go do despicable things so you can look all fancy, so you're providing for your children, so they've got the latest and greatest or whatever, so you're keeping up with the Joneses, so the crappy people that only care about your appearances, so you're making them feel better about themselves. Like, that's what we've been fed. And if we look at maybe even only 50 years ago, or 70 years ago, at a typical family, there would be, the mother, the father, dysfunctional stuff, 1 or 2 kids or more kids, and maybe, a grandparent or two around. And life was fairly simple. The father would go to work, the mother was the homemaker, and the kids were going to school. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't like the mom was a fermentationist expert and had a homeopathy business on the side and was looking like a model, and was also doing activism in whatever. And the father, what was like, now the dad has to be also like look like some paleo expert guy, and he has to have a major online presence doing whatever income stream thing he's doing, and the kids are, doing 5 different, ballet and football and literature and acting or whatever. I mean, like I mean, the reality we are existing in is so unrealistic and so unhealthy, because there's a lot of nostalgia for the analog life that we had. And I'm just pulling that from a talk I heard, Naomi Wolf and um, Dr. Mercola were talking, and I liked that term of like this analog life, or this analog existence or something like that. Like everybody is so like living in a movie. So the soccer mom is feeling all this pressure, has to drive her kids everywhere, and has to look great doing it. And every once in a while, we get a candid look at people, um, and and it's a big deal when somebody's actually authentic. And let me tell you, 50, 70 years ago, people were ordinary and it was fine. People were they just did a very simple thing. They just went to work, came home, went to sleep, and went to work, came home, and went to sleep, and that was it. Like nobody, and when somebody was like a writer, like they were a really messed up person, and all they did was write and do whatever kind of crazy thing that they did in life. But they weren't like a writer and a businessman and a family man and blah blah blah. Like there's people are being so unrealistic with their expectations of themselves. It is not real. Like there's this talk about like not having to sleep or sleeping only 4 hours or something like that. And like like it's just utterly ridiculous. Humans are trying to be inhuman. They're trying to be superhuman. And you know what? You can't. And what people really want is to have some contentment, to have some happiness. Yes, there's some people who want to kill everybody and hate everybody or love everybody. Okay, but like on the average, people just want to be able to relax, enjoy, be kind of content, be at peace with whatever is going on, just be kind of comfortable in their own skin. And the way you do it is live within your means. Stop trying to do this $500,000 lifestyle or some $300,000 like MLM kind of thing. And like now the MLMs they have really hacked intelligent people. They have hacked like just like some of the good people, like and so smart people don't realize that they have been hacked by the latest and greatest MLM stuff. Because so the MLM people, they were like dying breed in like the 80s. So what did the MLM people do? They were like, we need to change our game. So they figured out the market that they weren't getting, and I think there's a lot of MLMs out there, and it's just like stealth MLMs. Like people don't know that they're being seduced into an MLM. And I think like these MLMs are when it's always this upselling, upselling, upselling to some new just some new product, some new retreat, some new thing, and it just gets more expensive. I think that's despicable. I think it's diabolical when there's somebody who's charging like $50,000 a year to be their client. Like I was doing I was trying to figure out the sales and marketing thing, and that's what the teacher who was teaching the class, she was paying like $58,000. And it's all basically you pay to play. Like that's what I'm discovering is people want you to sink in a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of sweat equity, emotions, agony. And so they want to get you hooked on the identity that you create when you've dumped all this money. And sometimes it's a good product. Sometimes it's whatever. Sometimes it's bad. But they want like it's not a simple exchange, like you think it is. Like, oh, I'm just here. I'm going to get this trick credential, or I'm going to complete this project. No, I don't know. It's like some kind of sick and twisted manipulation, and I think it's disgusting. Like I just want to go to the grocery store. I just want to go to the restaurant. I'll pay you $20 to give me a burger and something to drink. I just want that kind of thing. I don't want some like, "Ah, you're not like spending $100. Why are you here?" Like, if people are going to be like that, and people are like that, like they have like this entry level thing. You buy something for $50, and then they're like, oh, these are tire kickers because they're not buying my $500 things or my $5,000 things. And it's like, some people don't have the money. Sometimes your product isn't worth that $5,000. I mean, like, so, anyways, folks, like, and try to try a little harder, live within your means. And I think maybe there's people who are trying to strive to, like, they're using like people we see in the media as role models. So people, maybe they come to America, or maybe they just grew up in a certain way, and so they're just trying to be what they understand to be normal or to be acceptable. And I'm telling you, like, you do not have to do this law of the jungle, claw your way up the ladder, just to get the most amount of money and power and loathing around you, because that's what people do. When somebody has a lot of money and power, the people around them loathe them because they're afraid of them. And I prefer, like, lower class stuff. I prefer lower class people because there's no pretension, there's no, like, weird, social climbing kind of a thing. Like, we're just like, "Yeah, I'm just buying I got my apples, I got my bottle of milk, I got my bread, okay, here's my money, I'm gonna go." Like, whereas when there's this whole kind of money grubbing kind of status nonsense, it seems to be very toxic and sick. Like, one time I was applying to be a career developer, and I was like, I don't have a master's degree. I have a bachelor's and I have 2 years of experience. So I brought all of my binders. It was like two binders this thick, and there was a bunch of women, one guy, and these women hated my guts. And I'm just working class me. I am, which I pretty much look the same. And my armpits are all sweaty because I was lugging all this stuff. I didn't have a car. I was taking public transportation, and I was just got off of work. And these ladies just hated my guts because I didn't have a master's. And it's so interesting because there's all sorts of people of certain demographics that always pull this, like, victim card or whatever, assuming that an educated white woman has privilege and has affirmative action. You know what? No, I don't. I have applied at dozens of jobs. I've sent out hundreds, if not thousands, of job applications, resumes, just even talking about rental stuff. Like, I have done like hundreds or thousands of applications. And even as an educated white lady, I have not gotten breaks. I might have gotten a couple, but it isn't like a gravy trying to navigate life. And yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there because I think if everybody was not striving to be this fake American success, because the people who are like these Silicon Valley CEOs and stuff like that, who are prestigious. I mean, just look at the photos of the CEOs and CFOs and CIOs. Like, look at all the head honchos of all the headquarters of the biggest companies and the next tier. They look so mean and soulless. Like, how do you really have that across the board? I just find that fascinating. Like, they don't even look human, these people. Just look at the biggest names of the biggest companies. There's something kind of like off about them. And then just look at kind of just the goofiest YouTubers, with, like, whatever, 20 subs or whatever. And you notice it's like there's a different kind of caliber of being there. Like, the eyes are just more real, um, and there's more flaws, but there's just more authenticity, or just watch like a video of somebody walking in Europe or walking, down a popular street in New York or something like that, and you'll notice like the humans there, these people who are just walking around, and you see a whole variety. Like it is not what those upper echelon CEO types look like at all. They wouldn't. Like there's just something different. I think they're bred in a cloning lab or something like that, because they just also seem kind of mean. And people in business would probably be like, "Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to be mean. You have to be soulless in business." And I really do think that people should know who the evil business people are when they're at the grocery store or at the resort or whatever. And I really, because these evil business people, they want to be treated as if they are decent people, and they do get treated as if they were decent people. The evil headquarters CEO type of people who do bad things to the public, to their customers, like Verizon or AT&T or Comcast or whatever, like bad telecom companies or bad car companies or whatever. Like they want us to be clueless and nice to them, but I don't think they should get, like, they should be treated like for what they do, for the harm that they commit against the public. I think some people should be spit in the face. Like AT&T messing with my phone, and like I have to like figure stuff out. And it's not obvious. They did that. They didn't make this intuitive for the end user. And the irony is, like, so with my if you watch my recent video, like I have to pay because it's a prepaid phone, so they're making me pay to have to fix their mistake. And if I want to get my money back, they're gonna give me all this lies that they can't find my account and blah blah blah. Or maybe the guy at the AT&T store, maybe they deleted my account, so that's why. I mean, it's just so anyway. But my point is that there's no shame on about being frugal. Like, I think it's kind of nice to go to a fancy restaurant or a resort or whatever, just to for the experience. But there's no shame about buying an affordable meal or buying affordable clothes or whatever, just doing anything within your budget. And I think, like, I have noticed, like, some people just have this hostility that I'm not spending all sorts of money going into debt. Like, I was talking with somebody. I'm like, how are people paying for all this stuff? And he was like, oh, well, they just go into debt. They just take out loans and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't like taking out loans. I mean, I've done it, but I don't like it. And I paid a lot of them back, and some of them I've had waived, and it took a lot of work to get that adjusted. But I mean, I like my time, I like my freedom, and I think some people prefer money and the I don't know, the anticipation of freedom. Some people don't like their freedom, I guess, as much as they like money, and as much as they like status. So, anyways, I just wanted to encourage you, at least this one frugal person, being frugal, living within your means is just as dignified and valid as somebody who wants to spend a lot of money. And there are some cultures who are fine about that. Like Chinese culture is very comfortable about being frugal, and other kind of traditional, Eastern European cultures. Like they're not crazy about, spending money. I think like other parts of Europe are as well, just paying attention. And it's weird because I get the feeling here in the United States, like amongst my fellow countrymen, like people are like, why aren't you spending more money? Like you should spend money, even if you go into debt, because it's just like appearances are all that matters, and I'm here in South Dakota and I feel that way. And I'm not saying all of my friends make me feel that way, but I just do feel, I do get a sense of that. Like just that there's, and because I've lived in Montana and I felt that way. When I lived in Virginia, I lived in Norfolk, Virginia, and I felt more acceptable. Like I felt accepted, like there wasn't a class disparity quite so much as I do here in provincial parts of the United States. And I use the term provincial because these are third and fourth generation Americans where, their great grandparents lived there and their grandparents and their parents. And so they've inherited, like property, and so they're quite wealthy. They're quite wealthy and sheltered and insulated when they've always lived in the same place. And I think that is a good, I think provincial, like because I read, when I'm reading literature or somebody's, oftentimes some young girl is described as provincial, which I would think is like, kind of being narrow-minded and kind of ignorant about the world. And I do find that to be the case. I mean, I even noticed that when I was living in Oregon, and some of the people who are, from Oregon, like they hadn't been to other cities, and there is this kind of clannish, cliquey, just I don't know. There's something different when you're living in a major city and you're used to meeting people from all over, and um, like when you're from a major city or living in a major city, you tend to be more, on some levels welcoming to strangers, but also guarded. And it's different for people who have always, their grandparents and great grandparents and great great grandparents have lived in a place. And they've grown up with the same people always, and they haven't had to meet new people. You know what I mean? So people just become kind of comfortable in their little bubble, and yeah, it's just not been. It's just not fun being that person, bursting their bubble. And I was working in Portland, and I met folks like that, so uh, it wasn't all bad. But anyways, not everybody has to be rich, and you can still have dignity if you're on a really low budget. If you're poor, you still have a right to be here in America. Um, and I just want to put that out there, And if you are wealthy or middle class, I want to encourage you, like, just start, like, instead of blowing your money and um, maybe being bamboozled or seduced into spending your money, or being obliged or manipulated into spending money for this, that, and the other. Just try to stay within your budget a little bit more, and you know, like, yeah, just maybe keep it simple. Like, something I'm noticing is just I do not have a lot of discretionary income, but it seems to, like, it creates clutter when you have some money to spend. There's just more stuff to have to kind of deal with. So that's one of the benefits I notice about, like, just living within my means and trying to be frugal. So just to declutter, like, or have less stuff. So anyways, thanks for listening. God bless.